right, we always like to check in with missing a bolt, Jim Harbaugh.
It seems like he is always missing a bolt. A weekly segment this has kind of become on Fridays. We usually have Mike Tomlin's words of wisdom.
Missing a bolt.
Missing a bolt that's a good one. So we have Mike Tomlin's words of wisdom, which has a bye this week. So we don't have Mike Tomlin's words of wisdom, but we will add missing a bolt with Jim Harbaugh. Here we go.
Pull it in, or you could pull it down, like grab it, and it's a win. It's a win.
He's like Gambling Kenny.
Or that way.
See?
No, just pulling it down.
What is he doing?
Pull it in. You know?
It's just great.
What is he
fantastic.
doing? What is he doing?
It's
Kenny. Amazing. He does. It did have a little bit of a Gambling Kenny look to it. He was kind of throwing the arm around. He just needed to get a little bit more of a flip to it. The Chargers are in Cleveland on Sunday, where they will be facing the Browns. Of course, the Browns rejuvenated because Deshaun Watson's out for the year, and Jameis Winston threw 3 touchdowns last week in a win over the Ravens. So they are back, and they are getting 1.5 at home. 42.5 is the total.
God, am I crazy? I think the Browns are going to beat them. I do.
It would not.
Jameis going to throw for 350 and 3 tutties. That'll be that. Miles Garrett with a couple of sacks.
I kind of like it. Like I don't think that the Chargers are that good offensively. Like they're really not. They don't have a lot going on. And now Cleveland has showed you last week they could move the ball a little bit through the air with Jameis in there. I kind of like the Browns too, Scotty. I'm kind of leaning towards the Browns here in this one. I kind of like the over as well with the 42.5. I think the Browns maybe could score some
honestly,
points.
with all the overs in every game, I'm just going to go under in that game because I think that game could get ugly because the Chargers haven't been scoring a lot of points. And frankly, neither is Cleveland. Now they got Famous, and he's actually lit it up. Let's see if he can do it again.
The Miami Dolphins will head north to Buffalo a little bit earlier in the year than they usually do. Usually they're freezing in the snow in December or January, but this year they get a nice, crisp November weekend with great weather. That doesn't matter, though, to Josh Allen because he's 11-2 against the Dolphins in his career. And makes a habit out of smashing them every time he plays them. Bills have a big, fat lead in the AFC East, and it's only November 1st. But Allen says, hold on now. We still got a lot more work to do.
A head start definitely helps. But, not getting complacent and not just sitting here saying things are taken care of because they're not. There's a lot of football left in this season. Anything can happen, and we got to, keep our foot to the gas.
Listen, they're just flat out better than the Dolphins, and they're at home, and this guy's just lighting it up, and now he's got Cooper on top of that, and he's got Shakir back, and Coleman's been turning it up. They got a running game. They got Von Miller back. Not that he's done anything, but their defense, their leader, there he is. They're just better, right? Like, I don't care what Tua says about, I want to be the first guy to win in Buffalo. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Didn't he want to win last week, too, and he laid an egg against Arizona and lost at home? Now they're going to go to a place they never win and win? Really?
I don't see it either. Now, the number could be in question, maybe. I think the Bills are going to win the game. It's gone to 5.5. It was 6.5 earlier in the week. The total's 49.5. This one I am going to give you an under on, believe it or not. I think the Bills are going to do a lot of what they did to Miami in their first meeting back in September, and I think they're going to try to run the ball down their throat and really control the game, and I don't think that the game's going to sniff 50 points.
Yeah, I think the Bills are going to cook them like dinner. Just
Let's go.
Cook them like dinner. Like, honestly, I am not impressed at all with the Dolphins. I'm sorry. Like, what is there to get excited about? Like, I keep telling you, man, this guy's going to get hit again. He's going to be down again for the count. It'll be all over. And that'll be that. And you'll see he'll go down. Now, I don't hope for that. I hope the kid plays every week the rest of the year. But I don't think he can take a hit. You want to win that game? Knock him on his ass. He'll be out of the game. And then you already know how bad and atrocious their backups are. They're awful, including that Snoop Huntley. He sucks too.
Yeah, it wasn't great when he went in there. One more note. Sean McDermott has won 79 games, one win away from becoming the 13th coach in NFL history to win 80 games in his first 8 seasons. If he wins 5 more, he'll have the second most in his first 8 years in the league. So McDermott has brought winning back to Buffalo.
Yeah, and people still talk about firing him every week.
Yes, and I think it's the playoff stuff that gets into that conversation, because great regular seasons.
It's the same thing with Tomlin. The guy wins. He's had 18 winning seasons,
Yep.
whatever, and people still talk about firing him every time he loses a game. I think McDermott gets the same treatment. He can't win in Buffalo any more than the stupid fans in Pittsburgh blame Tomlin for everything, including the weather.
But Tomlin has at least one. He has won a Super Bowl. All that McDermott has, it's like what we talked about with Judge the other day, right? Until you win now, it's always and but. See, there is no and but with Mike Tomlin, because he's won. McDermott, whenever you could say all these fancy numbers about him, but then you go, man, but he blew that 13-second game. Like, I think there's an and but with him that he has to get through in order to make all this stuff sound a little bit better with him. So that's kind of how I would frame it.
Fair enough.
I can't complain. I watched loser after loser after loser after loser coach this team after Marv Levy for 23 years. I watched loser after loser go in and be the head coach of the Bills. So This guy wins. None of them do. Here's Derek Carr next. Of course, the Saints are in Carolina this week. They've been without Carr the last few weeks, and they have been horrible. But Carr is not a savior, Scotty.
I am no savior. There's only been one of those, and and that is not me. I am here to be a great leader and to be a great teammate,
Is he talking
and
about
to
Jesus?
do my job to the best of my ability.
I think so.
And do I feel confident what I can do? Absolutely. I feel confident what I can do. I feel confident in what I can bring to our team, and that's exciting, right? But
he looks like that guy
to save us or
Malcolm
anything
from
like
the
that. That's not me.
He kind of does look like him a little bit. He got a little bit of that in him. They are 7.5-point road favorites in Carolina. 43.5 the total. We told you yesterday it's going to be Bryce Young again for the Panthers.
Listen, I think the Saints win, but I'm sketchy on the number because they stink too. Like all that talk about them. Remember they were like odds on top 5 Super Bowl when they won their first 2 games and put up 50 points. And then they lost 6 in a row. They stink. And so does Carolina. This is an under to me. And I won't be surprised at all if that kid, for once in his life, Bryce Young, has a game and they cover. Why not?
And they are a long.
I think anyone can score against the Saints.
They're a long way from that 2-0 start. The
season's over.
And remember, those 2 wins, like they beat the Panthers, this team in week 1. That was one of the teams they scored the 50 points again. And the Cowboys suck. And that was the other team they beat. Like everybody thought that was a big deal when it happened. But the Cowboys, they stink. So that really isn't that big of a deal. We'll come back and we'll get into Washington and the Giants at MetLife on Sunday. Jaden Daniels.
There's another game that's sketchy.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class at a Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, Mike, I'm not doing the Dodger parade. Thanks. I heard it.
Oh, I'm not doing it either.
I'm not involved in any of that and that party. I'm not going to that party either. That'll be another party I'm missing. I've gone to a party last night. I'm skipping tonight's, and now I'm skipping that.
Yeah, we're skipping it as well. I did just see Ohtani. Everybody got excited because Ohtani was speaking English at the parade.
Yeah.
So everybody got very excited.
But he never does interviews without his interpreter. That's just the guy that places bets for him. So, and I think he avoids interviews all year long playing that Japanese card like he doesn't speak any English. I don't believe that for a minute, and I don't believe it either with half of the Latin players. They also pull that card out like no English, and they just don't want to do the interviews. And that's how they get out of it, which is nonsense.
Back to this, and yes, there's a lot of that goes on throughout Major League Baseball. The Washington Commanders off to a hell of a start with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, and of course the first year with Dan Quinn at the helm, 6-2 now as they go to MetLife this week. So unexpected 6-2. What does that mean for Dan Quinn? Well, he's got to tell his players, keep your head on the swivel here and keep grinding. Here's Quinn.
With confidence comes you put the work in and you're confident to go play, but you have to have poise. And that's what you want, to make sure that all the moments happen because of the work that you put in, not just because they happen. And so I think that's what poise and confidence do, knowing that we're able to do some things because of the work you put in, and that generates confidence to go play well.
Okay, here's another cue for you. They better win this game in East Rutherford, because next week Pittsburgh's coming calling to the dump in Landover off of a bye, and we all know what Words of Wisdom does off of byes. They win. And I'll tell you another thing, they're good. And they are a problem for whoever they play, because they run the ball down your throat, they throw it all over the field, and they play great defense, and they sack quarterbacks. And they got a good back end. They really do. I mean, the Steelers are legit, and I think they can go to Landover and beat that team. And I think they can chase that kid around and throw him around like a rag doll. Well, we'll see how big they are next week. I don't even care about this week. Let's see you next week. We'll see you next week.
Well,
and then after that, I'm going to see them play the Ravens, and they better be ready, too, because they're going to get a fist one of these where they sneeze.
Well, for this week, I will say this number is rather interesting. So, look, Washington's favored. They've been a lot better than the Giants. The hook is a little scary here for me. 3.5 for Washington at MetLife, 44.5 is the total in this one. Of course, they played that close game in Washington earlier in the season. Jones historically plays pretty well against Washington. Any interest in the Giants with the hook here at home on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm taking a high-risk bet on the Giants here. I think they're going to beat them. I think that they look good against the Steelers. At times, they had the ball twice in the last 10 minutes with a chance to tie and blew it. I thought their running game with Tracy looked good. I thought Neighbors looked good. I thought Jones looked decent until he threw that pick late to seal it, right? That was the end of him. But they gave the Steelers all they could handle in that game in Pittsburgh, no less. This game's at Snoopy, so I actually think for the first time, Dable had them looking solid. And if they can build off of that, I think they can knock off the Commanders in an upset. There's going to be upsets every week and spread covers that you don't expect, and I think this is one of them.
Maybe the game of the week is in Lambeau. The Lions and the Packers, two of the best in the NFC. Lions have been smashing teams lately. Looks like Jordan Love is going to be good to go for Green Bay. Here is Lion head coach Dan Campbell. This is a big boy matchup.
This is going to be this is a hell of a matchup. I mean, to me, this is two big-time programs going at it at their place. And I'm looking forward to it. I know our guys are looking forward to it, but details, man, we got to be on the little things.
On the little things.
Listen, they're really good. And here's another game. Isn't it 3.5? It's a brutal spread. What is it?
2.5.
Yeah, I like the Lions. I still like the Lions, but I won't deny this is a very difficult place to play and win, no matter who you are. I don't care how good you are. You go there. A lot of dreams are, turn into nightmares at Lambeau Field.
And I did see, I think the Packers are going to be without, they might have Luz, but they're not going to have Jair Alexander, who's their best corner, which is going to cause them a problem with how good Goff has been the last few weeks. I like that over, too, at 47.5. I think we'll get some points between the Packers and the Lions. This guy's having a real bad week, this Eberflus. Of course, you lost on the Hail Mary last week to Washington, Scotty. Eberflus, they can't get away from asking him about that play last week when all he wants to talk about is this week's game against Arizona. Eberflus getting visibly frustrated with the Chicago media.
Matt, when you went back and looked at the Hail Mary, in the moment, did you notice Tyreek having his back to the snap? Did anybody upstairs notice it? And if they did, why wasn't there a timeout?
Yeah, Pat. So we talked about all those things on Monday, and on Tuesday, and had a private conversation on Monday and Tuesday, and those conversations are in-house.
If there's not a significant and clear consequence for Tyreek,
this group to move on to the preparation for the Arizona game.
Yeah, listen, that guy, that was the dumbest thing I've seen in a while in a professional football game, to be honest with you. This guy over there taunting fans as there's a play going on behind him, a Hail Mary to win the game. And not only that, by the time he got back in the play, he's the one that batted it in the air into the guy Brown's hands. Everything was his fault. I say they go out there and lose.
Me too. I love Arizona. Love Arizona. The bricks are starting to come out of the wall. They've had players that are talking bad about the coaching decisions. That's starting to crumble. That 4-2.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I tend to do this a lot, by the way. I do it more in baseball, but the anytime home run, where I may play 4 players to hit home run. I call it covering the board. If I take 4 players, bet the same amount on each, I only need to hit 2 of them and I win money.
He's already got 438 rushing yards on the season. He's looking like the old LT days where the Chargers were able to have that strong, dominant running back.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
A programming note, we'll be on today until 6:30 Eastern and 3:30 Pacific. We did the show today from 3:30 to 6:30 as opposed to our normal 3 to 6 time slot based on we were doing a Bowden Blitz special. So we'll be on till 6:30 today. Also, another sidebar, make sure you get the SportsGrid app on iOS or Android in the Play Store. It's free. And it's magnificent. You can watch the network on this thing and listen to the network on this thing. It is state of the art. And again, it's free. And you can follow your favorite hosts like Carver High. And there's even in-game odds and stories and videos, highlights, the whole deal. You'll love it, the SportsGrid app. And you can watch us now streaming live on X during the entire day. 24 hours of SportsGrid streaming on X at SportsGrid-Live.
There you go. All right, let me rip through all the rest of these games for week number 9 in the NFL. We both like Arizona. They're 1.5-point favorites at home against the Bears. I think they're going to win. You think they're going to win. Good job on that. New England is going to be in Tennessee against the Titans. Titans minus 3.5. 38.5 is the total. Can I interest you in the Pats at 3.5 on the road?
I got to tell you, just a little bit. Yeah, I think the Titans are ass mustard. I mean, honestly.
I think they should erase that game from existence, is what I honestly think they should do to that game. That game is horrible, the Titans and the Pats. Horrible. There it is. Go ahead. Horrible. The Jaguars are in Philadelphia against the Eagles. Of course, the return of Doug Peterson back to the city of brotherly love. Eagles are minus 7.5, 45.5. Is the total. I've seen enough in the Eagles the last couple weeks, Scotty, where I'm a believer that they can cover this number.
Yeah, I am too. I think they're dangerous with Brown and Smith healthy and catching passes, and they're playing defense now, and they're blowing teams out, and Saquon's running wild. Yeah, and Jacksonville sucks.
And that's the biggest thing. Jacksonville sucks. The Rams are in Seattle against the Seahawks. Some injury notes for you here. It looks like Puka Nacua is going to be okay, good to go. He did suffer a little knee bang-up again in practice, but he's going to play. Couple be good to go. No DK Metcalf for the Seahawks. He's out. Rams now minus 1.5 with a 47.5 total. I like the Rams in Seattle on Sunday.
Yeah, I know they always play well against Seattle, I guess, and I don't deny Puka Shells and Kupp and Stafford what they're capable of. I just have a hard time believing after they got cooked by the Bills at Lumen Field that they're going to go right out again and lose another game at Lumen Field. I like Seattle.
Sunday night game, you talked with Ken Sterling about it earlier. The Colts are in Minnesota against the Vikings, minus 5.5 for Minnie. 46.5 is the total. As I've said to you all week, love the total. Love the over 46.5. That's where I'm at in this game.
We've already said this week that we think the Vikings are going to win this game, but I think, the thing that intrigues me about the Colts is they're 7-1 against the spread. I mean, that is on point. So, I mean, the 5.5 I think is live for the Colts.
The most popular bets this week, I always give you these every week. 87% are on the Bills, 84% on the Broncos, 81% on Washington, 76% on the Rams, Patriots, Bucks, Lions, Eagles. The public bets for you in week number 9.
Yeah, screw the public. How's that sound?
That's what I'm talking about. Screw the public, but never Carver High's touchdown picks, which is what we have for you next on Sunday. I know they're telling us that Lamar's hurt. I've heard all about this stuff. Lamar's hurt. Lamar's playing. And if Lamar's playing, he's a factor. And you're getting Lamar at plus 200, whereas you normally get him at 150, 160, 170. I'll take the extra couple of points there. Plus 200 for Lamar to score a touchdown. Keon Coleman has come alive, Scotty. Touchdown grabs the last couple of weeks. Did you see him body that guy in Seattle last week to score? Plus 195 for him. Terry McLaurin against the Giants. Let's ring it up. We both kind of think the Giants might cover, but plus 130 for Scary Terry to get in the end zone. St. Brown, what has he scored in, Sky? 5 straight games, I think, for St. Brown with the Lions? Let's go with him again, even at the short plus 110 price. And A.J. Brown has heated up the last few weeks with Hurts. Plus 120 for him. A nice 5-pack for Sunday.
I mean, those are just beautiful. I want to see Flacco hook up with that Pierce again in that game Sunday night. I want to see that. I want to see Flacco hooking up with him.
That's what we need. We'll start the college, but not before we give you a Halloween treat. Before we start the college.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I tend to do this a lot, by the way. I do it more in baseball, but the anytime home run, where I may play 4 players to hit home run. I call it covering the board. You know, if I take 4 players, bet the same amount on each, I only need to hit 2 of them and I win money.
He's already got, 438 rushing yards on the season. He's looking like the old LT days where the Chargers were able to have that strong, dominant running back.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
A final roundup of NFL skinny here before we get into college.
Yes, really quick. I know the Steelers are off this week, Scotty, but still. Beanie Bishop named the Defensive Rookie of the Month. Not bad for an undrafted rookie free agent cornerback. So Bishop had a huge month for the Steelers. He gets Defensive Rookie of the Month. George Pickens, most receptions of 30-plus yards in the NFL this year. He's got 8. Next closest has 6. Steelers have the toughest second-half schedule in the NFL, along with Cleveland, Denver, Detroit, and Chicago. And as you mentioned before, they are back in action next week at the Dump in Landover against the Washington football team, now known as the Commanders, but won't always be known as the Commanders. So a Steeler roundup for you, even on a bye week. And finally, Joe Burrow doesn't like Halloween, but Bill Belichick clearly loves Halloween. I mean, this guy's, of course, everywhere now. He's like a media star. But, I mean, he's reeling in the big fish here off the shore. I mean, look at your boy Belichick on Halloween yesterday. Honestly, look at Bill. He's having a good time.
He landed a mermaid, a 23-year-old mermaid. I mean, my guy's just reeling in a hottie. That is fantastic.
He is he's living the life right now. Your boy Belichick just absolutely living the life. I think most are right now. I think that
I hope
most
I'm that cool when I'm 72. I predict I will be.
Would you like to take us out now to college football and our boy Rich? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's always good to hook up with Rich Sermonello.
Hey, Scott, let's recap Week 9 in college football. Another great weekend of action. I've got 3 big winners from the past weekend. First off, Penn State. I thought they did a great job. Tough spot going to Wisconsin at night. Badgers had won 3 straight, dominated their last 3 opponents. Penn State loses their quarterback, Drew Aller, at halftime. They don't skip a beat with Bo Pribula. A great job by the coaching staff. They had the backup ready. Defense played well. So Penn State, head of steam going into this weekend's big showdown with Ohio State. Number 2, Texas A&M. I mean, just a remarkable story. Opener, they lose to Notre Dame. New coach Mike Elko. This, to me, Scott, shows you, and it really is going to give a lot of offseason hope for teams that are replacing coaches. You make the right coaching move, and everything can change. I mean, this program was on life support under Jimbo Fisher. Now they've won 7 straight games. Remarkable to say this. They're the last SEC team without an SEC loss. Now, they could be going into a hornet's nest at South Carolina this weekend. Shane Beamer has been a giant killer in the past, but for right now, Mike Elko pulling Marcel Reed, the true freshman, off the bench and igniting that offense. A&M is hot. Third winner from the weekend, Boise State. They have seized control of the Group of 5 automatic college football playoff berth. Big win in Vegas against UNLV. Ashton Jeanty, $128 and a touchdown. At the same time, Navy falls to Notre Dame, so Boise State controls its own destiny. Only lost this season, by the way, to Oregon. Now, I'm going to turn quickly my attention to the Heisman Trophy. Scott, are we overthinking this? I mean, Travis Hunter, to me, looks like clearly the best player in college football. No disrespect to Dylan Gabriel, Ashton Jeanty, Cam Ward doing a great job reinvigorating Miami, but Travis Hunter, we're talking about probably the top 5 wide receiver in the country and the top 5 cornerback. 130 snaps over the weekend, sets career highs in receptions, career highs in passes broken up. I know it's always apples and oranges in sports, but Charles Woodson in 97 won the Heisman, hasn't done nearly as much as Travis Hunter. Quickly before we go, Week 10, it's all about Penn State, Ohio State, and really these coaches. James Franklin needs this win desperately. Career against top 5 teams, 1-12, 4-16 overall against Ohio State and Michigan. And for Ryan Day, struggled last week against Nebraska. He needs this game in a big, big way.
Both of them are so desperate for this game that I think it's going to be a fist fight. I really do, at Beaver Stadium on Saturday. And how about that at noon, along with that Duke-Miami game at noon? I mean, those 2 games alone are just absolutely delicious. But you've got football tonight, and for the most part, it stinks, except for that Boise-San Diego State game. Let's face facts.
Yes, there is Friday night football. I'm actually a little sad. We've been getting like a Big Ten game, an ACC game on Friday nights. Like, where is that this week? Where is all the action for Friday nights? Instead, you get, here we go, UConn getting involved against Georgia State with the Huskies minus the 7.5. You also have USF and FAU, a couple of Florida schools.
Boca.
Down at Boca with the big fat 47.5 total here with the Bulls minus 2.5. And as you mentioned, the main event tonight, Mountain West game, of course, with Boise State, who, as Rich was just saying, kind of is controlling that college football playoff spot right now. 24.5 against the Aztecs of San Diego State, and that is on the blue turf in Boise tonight.
I mean, it keeps going up. Like the spread, It was, it's gone up a full point since we've been here. So I'm starting to worry about it. I like the Aztecs with a point. Some more points, the merrier. So whatever, but they could very well get their ass beat. I think South Florida wins in Boca against the Owls, and I think UConn handles that number at home, and no one cares. They could be undefeated. They could have an average of 600 yards a week in offense, and no one would care about the UConn Husky football team. All they care about in stores is basketball, women's and men's. That's it. They don't care about anything else ever. It doesn't matter who the coach is, who the players are. It just doesn't matter. I don't even know why they have a program, to be honest.
I'm not sure why either. I do think that's a very big number for Boise tonight, but I'm sure that that JNT is probably going to run all over them because they do have a pretty bad rush defense.
Don't make fun of the Aztecs.
I'm not making fun of the Aztecs. It's just sometimes they can't stop the run.
I got my new Aztec cocktail glasses. I may break one in tonight.
Got the new Aztec cocktail glasses. All right, so we have all these other big games. So what we'll do is, because I got a great clip of Franklin that we'll probably have to hold off because I don't want to fire it in here too. And then you're going to have Gabe for a couple of segments also. So when we come, after you're done with Gabe, we'll come back and we'll get into all of the other huge Saturday action. I've got Franklin for you on the Penn State-Ohio State game. I've got that Cam Ward clip about Duke and Miami. We, of course, have Oregon, Michigan, Florida, Georgia, Pitt, and SMU. And that's a big game. SMU quarterback is going to play, I saw today in that game. Aller's going to play for Penn State. I know there was question marks about him. So some of these quarterbacks that were... Aller's playing. That was a report today that Aller is going to start for Penn State.
I know what Ohio State's planning for him. Go for his knees. Hit him
Take
low.
him out. Hit him low. Take him out. Get him out of here.
No mercy.
Oh, let it fly.
And by the way, I know that Sluka kid's leaving finally. He jumped into the Dr. Pepper vat, into the transfer portal.
Into the transfer portal. Him and thousands of others that always fall into that. There you go.
Yeah, but I mean, that kid, he can play.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim.
only on SportsGrid.
I tend to do this a lot, by the way. I do it more in baseball, but the anytime home run, where I may play 4 players hit home run. I call it covering the board. If I take 4 players, bet the same amount on each, I only need to hit 2 of them and I win money.
He's already got 438 rushing yards on the season. He's looking like the old LT days where the Chargers were able to have that strong, dominant running back.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, not really, Gabe. I don't want to hear your Yankee jokes at this point. To be honest, I've kind of been dealing with things on my own terms after the fact. And yeah, let's just say I'm not going to watch the highlights of your little parade that you had or any after parties or anything else. But I will agree with you that Fat Joe sucks. And the minute that guy walked out on that field with his lame ass, whatever it was, they were in big trouble. I mean, that was pathetic. But you can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10, and you got, of course, Gabe with a double shot every day on Coast to Coast. Thankfully, he's doing it with us today a little later today with our schedule changing a little bit. So he's got his Michigan hoodie on, and I want to get into that. So let me guess. You think the Wolverines are going to give Oregon a game tomorrow at the Big House and cover the piece?
I think Michigan are either going to win the game outright or get absolutely lit up, like 41-14 or something like that. I get the feeling, Scott, there's no in between with this game. This is sort of a mulligan on Michigan's season, right? It's been a rocky season. I think a lot of people sort of expected this, to be honest, right? Their win total was 8.5. They got 3 losses right now, so they're sort of right on that cusp. But, bro, their schedule is tough, Scott. They got Indiana coming up. They still have to go to Columbus with Ohio State. So this thing can still get ugly in a hurry. The Ducks are the real deal. I have nothing critical to say about the Ducks. I'm a big Dan Lanning fan. They're good on defense. They're fast on offense. Dylan Gabriel is a very systematic, sort of surgeon-like quarterback. And that's my sort of concern here, Scott, with Michigan in the Duck game, that the Ducks have this, controlled passing attack. It's the ultimate West Coast offense. He drops back. He gets rid of it so fast. They don't really throw bombs, right? It's just all quick, boom, boom, boom. Quick slants, quick hits, bubble screen, and it just gets their guys running the ball, and they pick up like chunks. So Michigan's going to have to find a way. Wink Martindale, who I wasn't really a big fan of the hire, Scott, to be honest, with Michigan. Wink Martindale's 100 years old, and he's an NFL guy. So I don't know why he's the defensive coordinator of the Michigan Wolverines, and it's pretty obvious. Everybody knows he freaking blitzes on every damn play, and people kind of know this. But with all that being stated, Scott, I think the Ducks are going to be in for a battle tomorrow. It gets harder to win as the season goes on. Trip to the Big House. Now we should know if they beat Ohio State in Columbus a few years ago. So maybe I'm just being a little bit optimistic here, but I think 14.5, Scott, is enough to get me to the window here with the Michigan Wolverines. And they're kind of playing with house money, right? They don't really have anything to lose playing at home here, but for Michigan to pull this off, Scott, to cover and to make this a close game, they need to play perfect football, and the Ducks need to be off. But if you've watched the Ducks this year, and I've watched every Duck game, they play to the point spread quite a lot. I know they tattooed Illinois last week, but the odds makers have the Ducks point spreads figured out, and a lot of their games sort of come down right to the number. So we'll see if Michigan can hold up their end of the bargain on offense, Scott. But give me the 14.5.
Who do you like in the Ohio State-Penn State game?
Wow. You know what? I don't like either of them, to be honest with you. It's like an election, Scott. Can I bet on someone else? I hope both teams lose as a Michigan fan. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I hope they both lose. Yeah, between Franklin and Dake, they're the bigger jerks like coaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, they're both jerks. One's a Karen and the other is a jerk. So give me Penn State plus the points, bro. I didn't think, Scott, that I thought this Ohio State team and their little $20 million payroll would backfire on them. And it's starting to just a little bit now. Their offensive line is shaky. They're having a hard time protecting the quarterback. I never thought he was a great quarterback to begin with. It's hard to believe with Trevion Henderson and Junkins that they have a hard time running the ball, but now they're having a hard time running the ball. Penn State's defense is good, Scott. Say what you will about Franklin, but I feel like this is finally the year that Penn State breaks through and wins a big football game.
How about Ohio State? If they lose their second game, are they out of the playoff, and will Ryan Day get fired?
No, there won't be out because this is the problem with the college football playoff now. These games don't have the same ramifications, Scott. Right?
What if Indiana beats them?
Yeah. If they get to 3, they're done. But a 2-loss, and Ohio State's schedule wasn't even that hard. But a 2-loss Big Ten team will get in. So if they lose 3, they're out. They're done. I don't think anybody's getting in with 3 losses this year.
So what do you think will happen in 2 other college games? The Duke-Miami game at noon and the A&M South Carolina game at Bryce Williams in Columbia at night.
Well, you've watched every Miami Hurricane game this year, Scott, and they're another team. They play to the point spread or they play in closer games. This Duke Blue Devil team is a pretty good football team, guys. Right? They're not going to be intimidated by Miami. Duke are a covering machine, and I'm getting 3 freaking touchdowns. Point blank, I'm on the Duke Blue Devils in this game. Miami wins, Duke covers, right? And you know the Cane, Scott. They don't blow people out. Last week I laid to 21. They won by 22, thank God. And they played a horrible football team. And I get it, it's a rivalry game and all that, but Duke can play. So look for Duke to trade points with Miami and stay within the number. And everybody's hyping up. I get it, Scott. Listen, yeah, they beat Tennessee. Yeah, they beat Clemson before. Shane Rattler was also there before. It was a different football team. And I get it. South Carolina normally have that. They have that one big win a year on their resume. But I'm not feeling it, man. I think A&M are that good. A&M are that good. You spoke with Rich Sermonello. You look at what they have with Reed, the spark that he's provided for this offense right now. They always had the talent, Scott. They were like Ohio State before, right? They spent $17 million on players, and it backfired on them. People need to realize in college football, when you do this, the players on your team don't care about your program, and it kind of matters, right? Like, what the hell does Junkins care about beating Michigan, Scott? The kid's been on Mississippi for the last couple of years, right? He's going to the NFL next year. He got paid $2 million to go to Ohio State. He doesn't care about Penn State, or it's not like in his blood, we got to win this game. It's a football game. And that's what happens when you have a team of mercenaries as opposed to a group of guys, a collection, a real sort of collection. You can bring in a quarterback to top it off, but I think these teams that go way crazy with the transfer portal and the NIL, they don't win. All right? They don't win. Give me the Texas A&M Aggies to get it done.
How about that? And mercenaries like Juan Soto. When we come back, we'll talk about the Bills and the NFL with Morency.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he's shooting 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class at the Heisman with those two games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those two games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a sixth-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Morency's excited about tomorrow as the BC Lions are playing the Rough Riders of Saskatchewan in the playoffs of the CFL.
Yeah, bust the hoodie out tomorrow. It's a little thick. It's more of a fall hoodie. I know the weather's warm on the East Coast right now. Yeah,
I'd wear it. Maybe I'll wear it inside with the air conditioning on.
Yeah, 6:30 tomorrow. Vernon Adams, former Oregon Duck quarterback, actually is the quarterback of the BC Lions. Starting quarterback tomorrow. Should be fun. Just a quick note, Travis Kelce was rocking a Winnipeg Blue Bomber jersey on his podcast this week because the quarterback of the Blue Bombers was Travis Kelce's roommate. He was the quarterback, Zach Collaros, if you remember him, Cincinnati Bearcats. Zach Collaros was the quarterback with the Kelce brothers. And it's cool to see Travis Kelce still supporting it. Like Kelce's a big CFL supporter. So is Joe Burrow. Remember last year, Joe Burrow was rocking the Montreal Alouette jersey. Joe Burrow's father played for the Montreal Alouettes. Just a quick little football trivia. Yeah.
I didn't know that. So let's talk about your Bills. They got a game with the Dolphins in the Below in Orchard Park on Sunday. Do they cover that 6-piece?
Yeah, normally I would say no, Scott. Normally I'm not a big fan of laying points with the Buffalo Bills at home. They're another team that plays to the number. Look, they were laying 6.5 against the Cardinals in week 1. They won by 6. But you've seen a tendency with the Bills this year. They absolutely murdered the Jacksonville Jags on their home field. They smoked the Tennessee Titans. Now, it was more of a second half beatdown, but they covered the number. This Bills team has a different edge to them than past teams. So I don't think they take the pedal off the metal. Kind of a bad spot coming off the Seattle game last week, a West Coast trip going back home. But they also own the Miami Dolphins, Scott. So, yeah, I think the Bills are going to cover the point spread in this game. I think the Bills win 34-24 or something like that. Higher scoring game, but the Bills beat them and cover the number.
So you went to the game at Lumen Field, and they kicked their ass. Do you think the Seahawks continue to struggle at home again? Here they have the Rams in, and they're playing in Seattle for back-to-back weeks. Are they going to lose again at home?
Yeah, you know what? This is gut check time for the Seahawks. I'm going to give the Seahawks the benefit of the doubt here, but I'll tell you what, Scott, there's a ton of negativity in Seattle. The fans don't like Geno Smith. The fans, they're fed up with the organization. They pay a lot of money for tickets. People in Seattle now are questioning the whole 12th man thing because the problem is the season tickets are so expensive that fans are selling the tickets because they make money to people like me, right? The Bills fans come to town. The Niners fans come to town. So, Rams fans aren't going to take the stadium over, Scott, but the things aren't good in Seattle. There's a lot of negativity around the football team right now, and they can't stop the run. And quite frankly, they can't stop the pass. Their defense is getting carved up. And I think the Rams are kind of on a roll right now, but I don't love that game, Scott. You know, a game I like, because to me it's really a toss-up from a betting perspective. And I usually don't cop out, but it's a tough game to bet on. It's a pick 'em for a reason. Another game is basically a pick 'em that I do like in that division, Scott. I like the Chicago Bears to beat the Cardinals. I'm a pro Cardinal backer. I like Kyler Murray. I like the Cardinals. I got a soft spot in my heart for them. I bet on them quite a bit. You know, last week was the first time that they won back-to-back games in 3 years. All right? So they always win a game, lose a game, right? Lose a game, lose 2 games, win a game. They never string together wins. They've strung together 2 consecutive wins in a row. But a Bear fan is going to take this stadium over on Sunday, guys. I went over it the other night on Sports Rage. The ticket prices this week in the NFL. The most expensive and hottest ticket in the NFL this week is the Chicago Bears and the Arizona Cardinals. Tons of Midwesterners, bro, and live in Arizona. Bear fans are all over the place. They're actually good. Arizona are good right now. It's a big game, but that's the most expensive ticket. And if you want to go see the Cleveland Browns and the Chargers in Seatown, you can get in for $19. That's the cheapest ticket.
So the Browns and Chargers is $19?
$19. I was surprised. You figure the Saints and Panthers would be cheaper, Scott, but that's $20.
Dog pound, $20 to go to the game and drink some beers. You might only spend $125.
Our boy Matthias,
It's his birthday today.
Yeah, he's going to Vegas. Yeah, he went to the Chargers. He lives in LA. He went to the Chargers Saint game last week. $36. I was spending $40 on Dodgerita, Scott, per drink.
The hitman.
He's going to NFL games for $36.
It's his birthday today, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday, bro.
All right, have a great weekend, Morency. Thanks, pal.
Thanks. And for the record, I like the Browns to beat the Chargers.
So do we.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was drinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class at a Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. I mean, what is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.